So I kind of had this funny, interesting debate with beauty school and the beauty industry since I graduated high school. When I first started doing makeup, and I remember being 18 and convincing my mom to take me over to Paul Mitchell to see the school, and it was gorgeous, it was beautiful, it was right up my alley, it was everything that I wanted. And the end goal that I kind of always had, this like big dream in the back of my head to own a spa, a full-blown spa. And I remember going to Paul Mitchell and they were like, well, if you're gonna own a spa, you really should do cosmetology. And I'm like, but I just like facials and makeup. Like, it was this internal debate that I kept having, and it was a really, really scary one. So I kept telling myself, like, no, like that's too big of a dream. Like, you're dreaming too big. Like, I remember literally telling myself that at 18. And so I kept going back to, like I said, the traditional education. But in the back of my head, Paul Mitchell was always there, and the way that their culture was, the beauty of the school, the way that it looked and felt, the people there. And so I actually went back and toured over the course of probably 5 years. I went back and toured Paul Mitchell like 4 times. And there would be new people there that they would put me with to tour, so it wasn't like, oh, we've already seen you a bunch of times, what's going on? So by the time that I finally made the jump to like go to beauty school, there was no doubt in my mind that it was going to be Paul Mitchell. And I remember being at work in this very like complacent, unhappy job that I was at, still doing beauty on the side, but in my mind always just on the side. And I remember like, hey, I need to take a break. And I took a break at work. I literally was like, I need to go make a phone call. And I walked out in the middle of my shift and I called Paul Mitchell and I was like, I need to come into your earliest appointment. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my work. And I went in and interviewed and signed up that day. Almost immediately that Paul Mitchell was my happy place. I would tell people that it was Disneyland. For me, it was the happiest place on earth. I went from 2 different worlds. I would come from, in my daytime, having to be an incredibly professional, incredibly strict profession, which is not me whatsoever. So that was more of me bottling myself in during the day, to at night being able to kind of let loose and be myself in a very, very creative environment, which was amazing for me. So Paul Mitchell was a place that, yes, it was an extremely hard amount of work because you have to put in everything that you can to get all the things that you can get. But at the end of the day, I didn't want to leave. It would be 10 o'clock and I would be exhausted and I wouldn't want to leave because it was just like a great place for me. I did do Dean's List. I remember starting Paul Mitchell and hearing the additional opportunities that were available. There were different clubs, there were teams, there was after school events, there was fashion shows, and then there was honors and there was Dean's List. And I tell people that I learned about myself something that I never knew until beauty school, that I'm extremely competitive. I had no idea that I was competitive until I went to beauty school. And when I went there, I decided from day one that my anxieties, my fears, everything about me that had kept me from going for so long was no longer going to stand in the way. And we had to do this kind of activity one of my very first days, where they took us out onto the clinic floor and they showed us product and they wanted us to practice talking to strangers about product. And I was terrified. The introvert in me was like, no, I'm not talking to strangers. I'm not giving you a spiel. However, something clicked in my mind. I was like, but if you want honors and you want Dean's List, you need to do it. You need to step out of your shell and you need to be that person. And something in me just clicked in that moment, and I was like, I'm gonna be the best right now. If you want this, you need to be the best. And I don't know how I did it. I pushed myself to do it. And it was kind of that acceleration just kind of trickled throughout the rest of my program there, where I just decided, if you're gonna be honors, you're gonna be Dean's List, that you need to work extremely hard for it, and it will pay off. And both of those did pay off for me. I received honors and Dean's List. I got my call from Win Claybaugh, and he was essentially willing to like grant me a wish, which was amazing. And I definitely feel that by achieving both of those, I was able to make the next step in my career that kind of landed me where I am today. Today, I am the owner of a lash bar in Riverbank. And I'm also the owner of Magnolia Academy, which is a post-secondary education facility. It is kind of a creative space or classroom, if you will, for beauty professionals and beauty enthusiasts to come and learn advanced certifications, and kind of like a central hub by industry experts who are there to facilitate and are there to continue to like mentor you after you finish. I find that when people graduate from beauty school, there is such an open, wide space of things that you can do. And oftentimes I find that it's overwhelming for people. So a lot of us will either become complacent in our careers and stagnant, and we don't really know what to do, don't know what the next step is. We know we want to continue to grow in our business, but don't know where and how. So we kind of stop, and we're doing the bare minimum and kind of getting through our day. So this kind of affords people the opportunities and possibilities in a local space to where you can just come and either be re-energized with your career and your passion, or you can be re-motivated, or you can learn a new task or skill, help yourself be more financially stable. You can learn how to make your business better. There's all sorts of different classes that are offered there. And then there's this very, very strong mentorship program. So today I've created just this I'm working on creating a movement, I would say, and that's a lot been from where I was and where I started and all the different avenues I've taken in my journey. I feel, interestingly enough, all the different avenues that I've taken in my life have led me up exactly to this moment. And it took me a long time to see that. A big part of me felt like everything that I had done was a waste of time. Me going to a traditional school to study education and me educating autistic children, not that by any means any of that was a waste of time, but in the grand scheme of things, now seeing where I am today, there was a while where I was like, oh my gosh, I could have been doing this all along. I knew I wanted to go to beauty school since I was 18, and I just didn't do it. However, all the steps that I took, they prepared me for this exact moment. Me learning how to educate, me learning patience, dealing with the amazing people that I did deal with, going to beauty school, pushing myself to be at the top of my class, everything led me up to this moment. And while I did absolutely find my home in lashing and loving every moment of it, I love every client, I love every day, there was a part of me that kind of ached for educating. I missed it. I did turn around after I graduated from Paul Mitchell. Part of the success that I found by pushing myself to do honors and dean's list was that immediately upon graduating and getting licensed, I was asked to come back and educate for Paul Mitchell as well. So I was an educator for Paul Mitchell for 2.5 years, and I stepped away from that to really pursue opening the lash bar, but I really, really missed it. And the end goal was always to have this training facility, this mentorship program. I just didn't think it was going to happen so quickly for me, and to really, really, really spiral and become this beautiful thing that it has. So educating for me has been kind of an outlet where I get to express and share all these different journeys that I've been on with other people and kind of help them start their own.